it is. All right. Good to see you, Sean. Ox. Morning, man. Great to hear that. Morning, man. All right, just small group, which is also good. Chris, good morning. Popping in now. So yeah, it's like almost one-on-ones, right? So get your questions in. Because I was like, yeah, I can do like all day analysis and all that shit. And I, of course, if you want me to, I'll go through the charts, look for some setups, and give you my thoughts on what I think the market is doing, especially after FOMC yesterday's. But I also want to emphasize again that these sessions are also, for people with questions, whether it's trading or your trading journey or your mindset or just a Discord. Yeah, you can pop up every question you have, and please do, because that is, I think, how these sessions become most valuable. If we do like, question-based sessions like we did, like we used to. Yeah, and I agree, B. There's loads of signals. There's loads of good traders, and honestly, I think, being like a signaler is like it's like a job apart. It's like different, and I do like, of course, talk about mindset, and not necessarily we have to dig up every trauma you have, but it's always interesting to see how things we have developed or learned as kids or while growing up or from the people around us, how that has an effect. Like nowadays, if you're trading or if you're just, even if you're following signals, emotions mess you up big time if you don't pay attention to them. But it takes something to ask questions, right? So yeah, like I said, do feel free to yeah, exactly, limiting beliefs. The idea that, you yourself, eventually what limiting beliefs does is that you limit yourself, right? Exactly as it says. Your beliefs about who you are and what you can be, and limit you in, what should I say, in your progress, right? This is not for me, or I'm just not good at it. It's something like you also see a lot when people start out trading. Yeah, exactly. Staying in your comfort zone. But what you see a lot when people start out trading is like the inevitable losses that you do take or that we take. They will come at some point, and maybe not like in the first couple of trades. Maybe you start trading and then you had that winning streak at the beginning. Then eventually, the inevitable and that loss always comes. And I think what is, like, especially when it comes to trading, is that loss sets you off. And I think, especially if you then fall into the traps of over trading or chasing your losses or denying your risk management, will eventually make you get wrecked. And if you then have the limiting belief that it's not for you, or that it's, I'll just go back to my day-to-day job because, that's less stressful, etc. So, but I know you're working hard on it, B. So that's good. Yeah, exactly. But I think a lot of people need to change the mindset, right? Because when look at it, when we grow up, the school system, our society, how most parents raise you, losses or wrong things, like losses are equal to negativity, right? So when you grow up, if something doesn't go right, you will hear it as that's not good. And like even the school system, like you get an A or an E, whatever. I'm not sure how that works in in the UK, but in Holland we just give how do you say it? You just get a number from 1 to 10, and 10 is best and 1 is like shit. So but like if you get an insufficient, it's called insufficient, so it's not good enough, right? So if you make mistakes, you'll get like an insufficient grade. And if you then go to trading, trading is all about coping with those losses and seeing those as part of the journey. And I think we have never been taught to learn from losses, because our society and the way we grow up is so focused, for most people though, and not for everybody, but for most people, so focused on doing things right and not making mistakes, etc. And I think the people that can embrace that fact, that you learn most, like you say, Ox, that you learn most from your mistakes and from your losses. I'm looking here at my bookshelf, and there is a book called, and I've talked about this a lot, Best Loser Wins. And I think actually that's not only in trading. This book is about trading, and I really recommend you reading it. It's by Tom Hugard. But just the title, The Best Loser Wins. And I think especially in trading that's the case, but it's also in life. If you can take things on the chin, hold your head up high and go forward, and especially learn from the mistakes. We have a saying in Dutch, which is a donkey doesn't hit itself twice at the same rock. So it's like basically can't make the same mistake twice, right? Because you have to learn from it. So your circumstances should be different the second time. But the biggest, I think, when people start trading, they make all these mistakes over and over and over again, and I've been one of them. But yeah, it's and that's why journaling is so important. Yeah, exactly. That's like, I think, the same. Once bitten, twice shy. Well, every day is a school day. Learn that today. So that's the same, kind of the same. I think it emphasizes the same thing. But it takes, honestly, how do you say it? It takes a lot of effort to learn from mistakes, because when you look at your mistakes, you kind of say, okay, I am not good enough, right? Because that's how we've been taught. It's not, mistakes is not good enough equals not good enough. So if I then look back at my mistakes, I sort of tell myself that, well, I'm not good enough, right? Because I make mistakes. If I look back at how I grew up, like my dad, and some of you might know, but I grew up in a kind of hostile environment. So I would get beaten just for like breaking some things, like, which is normal. We can all like break a plate or whatever. Happens, right? Or when I was playing soccer outside or football, and then I wasn't always good at it, so sometimes you would break some glasses or whatever, or windows, and I think then what happened was you get well, either you get beaten or you get yelled at, or which say, okay, if I do something wrong, that's not good, right? So when I then come to a point where I realize that I also make mistakes, I need to embrace them. And that's hard, because I think most of us grow up like that, right? Most of us grow up in an environment or get taught that, well, making mistakes is not good enough. Exactly. But it's not only like, if I look at my kids nowadays, it's the same, because it's also this, well, school also emphasizes that you need to do things right? Because those pupils that are students that are getting the good grades, they doing nothing wrong or not much wrong. Things don't go right. Yeah, go left and try again. Yeah, and I think a lot of people know that. We gotta go over it again. We gotta go through it, and we gotta do and try again. Maybe a different route. But when you look at like trading, It's not necessarily doing things differently. It's like more of accepting that the losses are there on their way. If you look at trading, let's say you come up with a system that you kind of tested it, and you think, okay, this is nice. I try and I see a decent win rate and have some nice wins. Like what happens eventually, you will get a losing streak. Everybody gets on a losing streak at some point. And I think, and of course, these numbers are not based on facts because just my thoughts, just how I look at it. I think 90% of people, especially newer traders, 90% of people get to that point that they get a couple of losses and then start doubting their strategy. So you had like 4 wins, couple of losses, couple of wins, and you were like profitable for the month, and then the next month you start off with 5 losses in a row. And then people are too much in the moment, say, okay, yeah, I need to change it. I need to change something about my strategy because it does not work. But I think what people forget, especially with trading, is that you need to have like hundreds of trades done before you can actually say that it's profitable and what its win rate is, etc. Because the bigger the data collection, the more, the more true the data becomes. You can't do an objectivity research on like only 4 data inputs, because that says nothing. If you take, and I'll you guys know me, I'll talk about the coin flip. If I say heads or tails on one flip, you know that it's like a 50% chance to be heads or tails, right? But that does not mean that if I flip 20 times that it's 10-10. Could easily be 18-2 or 7-13, whatever. But the more you flip, like if you flip 500 times and then 1,000 and 10k times, the more you flip, the more that actual, the actual, the more it comes or goes to that 50-50%, because you know one flip is just 50% chance. So, and that's with trading the same. So you need like a lot of trades to actually say something about your strategy, the way you trade. Now, of course, if you only take losses, maybe you're gambling, right? Now, but if you build like a strategy that you can follow, like with tick boxes, say, okay, if this happens on the chart, I'm in. If this happens, then I'll take this trade. And you do the same thing over and over and over again. That eventually gives you enough data to say, okay, I'm profitable in the long run. And that makes it easy if you have a proven data system. If you have proven to yourself, okay, over the long run, I'm 60% or 70% profitable regarding win rate. And then I also have like a 1-to-3 reward ratio. That will be very nice, right? So if you have that, it becomes easier to go through those phases that you take losses, because again, every trader is wrong sometimes. Every trader is wrong sometimes, and no trader is always right. And I think that is something that people forget. Also with like following signals here in the Discord, people forget that even if we have like top tier traders that you can follow blindly, they are still not always right. So there will be points that they will be wrong, and that's okay. The idea is, okay, how can you deal with that, and how are you able to take losses and cut losses? I think the hardest part of trading is cutting losers. So cut losers short and let winners run. And I think, and that's again, if you read the book, like I said before, Best Loser Wins, he's questioning the fact that like majority of traders, even top tier traders, and it works for them, but majority of traders take profits on their way up, like securing profits. But what he says is, why would you cut your position short or cut your position if you are right. So let's say you're in a long trade and price goes up. Why in the hell would you take your profits if you're still right? And he says, I'd rather have my trade go back to break even than not seeing it play out. And of course, you can look at it different ways, right? Of course, some people say, yeah, but I'm just proven profitable with just taking profits at 1R, 2R, 3R. But what he does is just a whole different approach. If you just want to see or read about different opinions, definitely read that book. And I think what a lot of people do, and that's because I was talking about cutting losers short. Once you get in drawdown, and of course not every trade goes in up mode directly, right, or in short or down mode directly once you enter it, whether it's a short or a long. But what a lot of people do is they get this kind of hope when something gets in drawdown, so trade goes against you. A lot of people don't have an invalidation point, and I think if I look back at my own journey, I think the hardest part is even if you get to that invalidation point, your mind will mess with you. That's why you need to, in my opinion, have a rule book for entering trades, but also a rule book for exiting trades, and especially exiting losing trades. Because I know for sure, if some of you who are trading themselves, I know for sure that you have had this happening, a trade going in drawdown, and basically what you were seeing on the chart was it's going against you, and you would feel the idea that, or you would see and look at the chart and say, oh, this is going to hit stop loss, right? But I'll just ride it because maybe it turns around. Morning, Drew. Thanks, man. So maybe it turns around. But honestly, if you would look deep down inside and you would look objectively at the chart, you know, okay, this it doesn't work. It's not just it goes against me, I was wrong, let's cut this short at 0.5R, minus 0.5R, rather than let it go to minus 1R. And I think if you look back at your journal and you look at your trades that went to stop loss, do you cut your losers short? So are there trades where you say, okay, I'm in drawdown right now, but I'm cutting it because it's going against me and it's not working out? Do you have those trades? Because if you don't, then there is also something to be won right there. Because if you don't learn to cut your losers, well, if you learn to cut, now let me say differently, if you learn to cut your losers quickly, so rather it goes to minus 0.2R instead of minus 1, that's basically a 0.8 win, right? Because that's what you not lose. So something to think about, just to give you some thoughts for this day or for the rest of the day. So yeah, just think about how you handle your losses. Not necessarily emotionally how you handle your losses, but while being in the trade, how do you handle your losses? Do you have an invalidation point? And when an invalidation point comes, or when you look at the chart, say, okay, yeah, it definitely is going against me. Do you just let it run with the hopes that it might turn around and it proves you wrong? Or yeah, are you able to say, okay, on to the next one, I'm cutting this, I'm taking my losses, and I'll go again next time, tomorrow. Like for me, I have the rule, one loss is not trading anymore for the day, come back tomorrow, because I do know if I don't, then it will mess with my head and eventually my emotions. Yeah, because I'm also human, and especially in this period of my life, I'm more emotional, more unstable, I think, emotionally. So yeah, you definitely have to stick by them rules. So honestly, I haven't been trading that much. So yeah. Well, thanks for the question, B. Yeah, I'm okay, but it's like still very busy, right? Very busy in regards to well, the house. Mom used to live in a rented house, So the house has to go back to the rental business like end of month. So we need to clean up the house and take everything out. And yeah, it gradually gets emptier and emptier. But yeah, it's kind of weird, right? Because my mom had lived there for 20 years. I used to live there. I have lived there for a couple of years in the beginning before I moved out. But yeah, it's definitely something. Well, you come across a lot of stuff, man. That woman had a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's hard, and at the same time, it's kind of like also healing or something like that. You find scribbled notes everywhere with things she wrote down, and like she had a diary, but that diary was like everywhere. It was just like scribbles here and there. So, but basically now we're at the point that it's mainly like the personal stuff and all those things are gone, and now it's just like furniture that, well, we give away for free to people who need it, and well, so it's a lot of, just a lot of things to do, and it's hard, and it's also hard work, but yeah, I can at the same time look forward to next month, because from next month on, well, I know that at least the house is gone, so I don't need to go there every day to arrange some stuff, and I just can be like back to normality than now. And of course, I still try to do some talks, and I picked up like the half-hour free one-on-one session. So if you still want in on that, please let me know, because I might. I do have a long list already filled until October, but I might do some more. How do you say? Do some more sessions throughout the week from next month on. So yeah. And that's nice, man. Good to hear. Happy birthday, man. Happy birthday to her. Give her my blessings and my love, man. 79. Nice. Let's have a birthday pump. I hope you mean in crypto way, right? I'm just joking, okay? It was a joke. I'm not going there. So yeah. What is going on the charts? Is there something to look at? Oh yeah, I just entered a trade just before. Let's see where this shit takes me. How you guys? How were you guys yesterday? What's the best hour chart to look at, mate? Good question, Sean. Crypto pump, right? Okay, great. Sean, yeah, it depends, of course, on what you trade, right? It depends on your style of trading. Like, I do advise that if you start out trading, or if you want to learn to trade, you should start with higher time frame. So especially daily, 4 hours, because the higher the time frame, the more how do you say, the better well, consequences become. So the more they're based on more data. So what you usually see, like if you go on the 1 minute time frame, things don't always work as best as they do on a higher time frame. Really, god damn it, momentum. Yeah, more reliable. Thanks, NGB. Thanks. That was the that was the word I was looking for. So yeah, the higher the time frame, the more reliable the data you see on the chart. So Sean, especially if you're starting out, just start with 4 hours. Why 4 hours for me? Because I think daily takes a lot of time to play out. 4 hours can have like, you can still have like entering trades that play out in a couple of days, sometimes even days, depending on how hard or how quickly they go. So yeah, so my advice would be start with 4 hours. Yeah, there's definitely some momentum in the market right now. We just have to see how New York opens today. 117,300 we are right now. Let's see on the higher. Let's talk about this was what we talked about last time, right? So first target for Bitcoin dominance is this low here, and then eventually we want to see it break down, go to the golden pocket of this move up. So losing this 200 EMA would make it all fun. I think a lot of people are looking at the 54 level. Yeah. LF0, you're asking me by a zero. I don't know, man. I haven't been looking at it like for ages. I think they're still developing, so yeah, let's see if that is or does something going forward. So yeah, like I said the other day, these are my areas of, or my targets for the Bitcoin dominance. On the weekly Ether Bitcoin, we talk about Ethereum. I talked about this trend line, this weekly trend line, and it's been a long way there. So it's now on this trend line. Bitcoin is kind of stronger right now. But if we do look at Ether on the daily, so yeah, for now it's just like, you could say it's a sweep of this level. Oh, sorry. It swept this level on the daily last week. So for it to look real good, you want to see it go above this one, above this high. And you could call this the resistance for this area, this body. So, which we could still see retested. Why? Because there's a fair value gap here. So this wouldn't also be weird to happen and then go up. So yeah, we still like in middle ground here. So basically this one, oh, this is the weekly. So this was all-time high. Is this the weekly? Yeah, why I'm looking at the weekly. So yeah, this was the 4K level. So that's really, if we and I think, or I doubt that we're going to go see that shakeout. I think somebody said the other day, and this is like, usually market does, how do you say, market does like moves contrary to what most people think. This does the opposite of what most people think. So I think there's still a lot of people sidelined, waiting for lower, even though there are rate cuts, etc. I think there are still people waiting for lower. The question is, will they, well, will lower come, right? Because if market catches you off guard, it would mean it would just go straight to Valhalla from here. And I think also, guys, what you need to understand is this. I was thinking about this the other day, because even if it pulls back a little, I see people panicking in here, and I see people talking about, yeah, is this really going to happen? What do you think? Do you really think it's going to pop up off because everybody expects it? No, we are expecting it. We, the people, these 2K people in this Discord, and some people on X or whatever, those are the people that are expecting the pump. Is it that easy? Yes, it is that easy if you believe it, because you gotta understand the fact that you are surrounded by people that only talk about crypto the whole day of their goddamn lives. That's what you're surrounded by. So what you're surrounded by is what gives you your view on how things are. But you gotta understand that how small of a group we actually are in the bigger scheme of things, right? We're just 2K people talking about crypto, and it's not even 2K people talking about it daily. We're just like a couple of hundred people talking about this daily. And I think we forget sometimes that there is a whole wide world outside that is not talking about crypto as much as we do. So please, if you ever feel doubt because it pulls back or whatever, as long as you don't see on the 8 o'clock news people talking about crypto and saying, yeah, grandma calling you up, unless you're Matt Cap's mom, calling you up, or your nephew that you never talked about and knows, maybe talked about sometimes that you're in crypto, starts calling you, and the neighbors start shouting about crypto and Bitcoin. And have never been true euphoria yet, unless if you look at NPCS chat in here. But like worldwide euphoria on the markets regarding crypto is not there yet, and bull runs don't end in silence. Bull runs end in euphoria, when everybody gets lured in, when everybody wants to make money. And you gotta understand, and of course we are been in here so long, for so much time, that you forget that there's also a world outside, that you have a family, that you maybe have a wife or a husband and kids. Don't forget about them. They're still there. So yeah, honestly, there's nothing. I think, no, what I wanted to say is that take that into account whenever you feel doubt. Because like we live and we breathe crypto, but most don't at the moment. So if you look, and again, I said this the other day, right? What happened if you look at the weekly? I like this, and we're going to keep eyes on this. Like if you look at total market cap on the weekly, if you copy this exactly from when it broke all-time high, it actually like touches this trend line, which is the same for total 2. Total 2 again, if you look at total 2 and you see the moves that it made after breaking its previous all-time high in last bull run, that's this point. You see this, and of course this is just like data looking at and see, okay, if history repeats itself, it doesn't copy itself, but it could repeat in some sort of way, or it doesn't repeat itself exactly, but well, you know what I want to say, right? Fuck, it's at 40, man. I'm sorry for you, Chris. And I can see the benefits of homeschooling, but man, I went through COVID with the kids at home. Man, these guys doing my head in. I'm absolutely never ever going to homeschool my kids. I'm sorry. I'll just tell them what I think. Yeah, man, Chris. No wonders you need a one-on-one. Fuck that shit, man. Anyways. All right. So yeah, good to be back. Sort of. I'll try to, and like I said, it's not always like if I just check the schedule. I try, and sometimes I'll need to cancel it like in the morning because things come up. But probably from October onwards, I'll be here more and more. Hopefully just daily doing these sessions. Thanks NGB, man, thanks. And well, I will gradually build it up back again. And yeah, if you do have, like I said, spread the word, especially for newbies and new people in here. If you have some people in beginners chat asking, just tell them to jump on here. I will tell them also. Because like I said, I want to, well, turn this more again into the Q&A kind of sessions we did in the past, with the same time just also with some technical analysis and looking at the charts and seeing if we can find some setups. I'll probably do less, really less signals, but I'll have to see for next month. But yeah, and if you're not here, if you can jump on, I'll make sure to record every session, hopefully with sound, so I can upload it and you can guys watch it back on your own, well, on your own pace whenever you feel like it. Yeah, fuck that. I'll quit if that is going to happen. Let's hope not. Be all right, guys. Thank you very much. We'll talk again, I think tomorrow morning maybe. But if not, we'll talk again next week. Or like I said, if you still fancy a one-on-one, a free session of half an hour, there is a list. But please let me know in DMs so I can put you on that list and we can schedule whenever there's a spot. Have a great day, guys, and we'll talk again soon. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.